maybe it's a stamp part, folded, welded together, and they use that and it works perfectly fine. They have no clue that now with their increased volumes that it makes sense to turn it into a casting, and then they have no clue how to do that and to make it castable in general. So they never thought about you. You don't know them. So how do you two meet to get into business? And that's the real challenge. And there's a lot of education needed, a lot of engineering when you reach them. Because if you go to these guys and say, hey, we're the best shock tower caster, and they say, I heard of shock towers, but we're not producing them. Thank you. Bye.
We don't want to be shocked. Bad joke. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Casting Podcast. Today we have a super episode, according to me at least. I don't know if you all will agree, but as always, me, Staffan Zetterström, and you, Fabian, Niklas, are here to discuss how to make money in the foundry industry. We're so happy that you're with us today.
Absolutely. Welcome to the podcast. And today the topic will be, will there be sunshine after the rain?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Staffan?
So we're going to be a little bit flamsy and glimpsy here. What we mean, dear listener, is that there's a crisis and our market is pretty sour. And we have made several episodes about this with less shots and less parts and all that. So maybe we can all agree, okay, what is happening here? Lack of volume is one thing, of course. Price pressure is another thing. Overcapacity. And all these things. I think we have gone through them. So then there's always people saying like, yeah, but you know, when there's an adaptation then and a lot of capacity is pushed out of the market, all of a sudden the guys standing there with a machine, they will bounce back and make heck loads of money. Do we believe that, Fabian?
Yeah, that used to be the prediction, because let's go back a bit in history. When we look at the 2000 dot-com bubble, you see that money wasn't sitting that freely and there was a dip in sales volume. Then it came back to the normal level because there was no underlying difference in the consumer behavior. When we look at the 2008 housing crisis, we had the same thing. Dip in volume, government stepped in, helped a lot with securing funding, pushing sales with incentives, and they could smooth it out. Still, that you bought the same cars before and after the crisis. But this time it's different. As you look now, it is dragging on for quite a long time, that the volumes are shrinking. You've seen that already. The margins, they have been cramping up for a while now. That's also nothing new. It's now escalating. And you have an underlying different things, that for an EV, you have different requirements in your parts than for an ICE car. Then you have new parts coming in. They have, again, different requirements, different customers, different engineers on the other side. And these are things that are not there when we have 2000, 2008. And now also you have a armada of Far Eastern brands with great cars knocking on our doors saying, hey, you have a car for half the price of your existing OEM's entry model.
Yeah. I want to jump back to that analogy that you did about the housing crisis. Then it bounced back. Yeah, okay. But I see the foundry industry that you have a very nice villa in Sweden. It's red, white corners on it, and you have a beautiful lake, and you have 2 horses in the stable, and everybody's happy because there's a big employer in your little village. Now, this employer has shut down. So your house is losing 50% of its value, according to statistics. But in reality, you have a hard time selling it because you need to move because there's no work left. And so saying that housing is always bouncing back, I think we are the villa in a small town in Sweden on the countryside. It's beautiful and the lake is nice to swim in. But the thing is, you can wait forever until you get the money back from buying that villa, because the big employer, it has been a dramatic fundamental change in your market. Having said that, what do? You find new industries to sell to, right?
That's the perfect thing. And there's a bit of an issue that we are so catered by our automotive customers that we don't need to do any outreach. We have our beautiful portals, you just log in, you get presented the latest parts coming online, they're already in the status, you can just take them, put them in your simulation tool, get a first idea of the casting quality, what you need to add at the gate, build a tool around it, and then a few weeks later you can send in your offer. Everything's perfectly curated, prepared, then you do some small adaptations and you end up with a price and you already know how to talk to your purchaser. That is quite easy. And let's be real, non-automotive business for foundries has been there for years and years. There's nothing new that it's just popping up, but you never cured your methods to reach them.
No. And you have two problems, don't you? Number one, you're pointing at something. You are unknown to them. So you knock on the door and say, hello, I'm the best knuckle producer in the world. I'm not laughing about knuckles. They are actually very difficult and they have a high standard. Or I'm the best shock tower caster on this side of the Alps or whatever you denote yourself to. But you also have another problem, and that is that everybody else is sitting in the same boat. So how are you becoming unique? And how are you becoming a brand in the discussion who to use as a foundry supplier?
Also, when you look at the other industries, they have a way of producing their housings, whatever there is you can cast in a certain way. Maybe it's a stamp part, folded, welded together, and they use that and it works perfectly fine. They have no clue that now with their increased volumes that it makes sense to turn it into a casting, and then they have no clue how to do that and to make it castable in general. So they never thought about you. You don't know them. So how do you two meet to get into business? And that's the real challenge. And there's a lot of education needed, a lot of engineering when you reach them. Because if you go to these guys and say, hey, we're the best shock tower caster, and they say, I heard of shock towers, but we're not producing them. Thank you. Bye.
We don't want to be shocked. Bad joke. No, but I think it's not often I say this to you, Fabian, but I think you're missing a vital point here. I think one has to understand the business you are approaching, so you are in your marketing or sales pitch saying the right things and also be prepared to do the right things. And in the first 15 seconds you speak with someone walking up to you in the Eurogas trade fair, for example, and say, hello, I come from medical. I'm interested to buy castings. And you want to cast for medical. But then you have to have a clue, what does it mean? How does a business with a medical equipment manufacturer look like? You need to have at least the buzzwords. You need to understand if they are doing for the surgery room, if it's cosmetic, blah, 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 etc., etc. And I think this homework is very often overlooked.
Also, that's one thing if you have already industries that know that they want to buy castings. Another thing is if you want to introduce that demand to get castings in different industries, then you also need to know their pain points. Where are their current problems? How to come in and offer a better solution? And both of them take a lot of homework, because if you come there and say, hello, we are foundry XYZ, take a look, here are 20 automotive customers we sell to, and look here, our machine size so big and we buy that many aluminium ingots and whatnot, you scare people away because they cannot see that, okay, there are 20 automotive customers, we're one small medical company. I don't think we have a high priority there.
No, I agree. But today I'm taking the role of being the picky guy. You said something, knowing the pain point and the pressure point. This is not super difficult to understand, because here comes the thing. All industries, if you sort them well enough, like medical, telecom, computer warehouse, blah, 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 they have a common industrial problem. So let me, from my perspective, if you speak, for example, of medical equipment manufacturers, they actually represent quite a nice, interesting market. It's pretty often that you'll find between 4 and 10 million euros in turnover in castings. What are they interested in? Well, believe it or not, according to me, these are the guys that are most interested in sustainable castings. They can afford to pay for having CO2 neutral castings, for example, because a lot of hospital chains, especially in the US, they require that you have a sustainable product to place in a hospital. The second thing they all struggle with is cosmetic surfaces. Powder paint, easy to wash, durable surfaces. Do they care about properties? No way. Do they care about anything else that we talk about cars? Absolutely not. Are they fast? Not really. Are they wealthy? Absolutely. Do they pressure your price? No. They want a fair price and they want to be stable. So that is one example. I give you a few
also, they
more.
want the reliability because if you're producing medical equipment, you're not producing it like a car. It's a continuous line. Now they produce one technical equipment piece during that season, then they change over for the next part. So when they say, now we want to produce whatever casting you're supplying to that machine, then you also have to deliver in time in the right quality, because otherwise everybody's else standing around their production facility and waiting for you.
Yeah, but the thing is with the medical guys that they also have some long runners like gas valve equipment for surgery room, gives you oxygen during surgery and things. And these numbers are not bad, and they are constantly, because when they have,
you're right,
when they have an FDA approval, they don't change anything. That part could be around for 20 years. No problem. And I mean, come on now. How many parts will have the same design for 20 years? If you look at it.
Also, there are no trends in setting a valve. If it works, it works. And then
they
you
change the
stick with it.
man-machine interface. That's it, and the software around it. But,
they put it in a different housing. And
but just getting the FDA approval is quite a long process. Moving over to telecom.
Another quite sizable market for foundries.
Yeah, how sizable is it? I mean, if you look at the big four, I would say they are approx 100, 120 die-casting machines that they are buying parts out of. But then you have quite a tier one market when it comes to repeaters, radio filters, active antennas and all that. And the interesting thing that everything that I'm mentioning is actually requiring die castings. The big thing here is thermal conductivity. End of story. They are looking for low silicon alloys. They want to have them sustainable also. So I would say the second strongest sustainability driver in my workplace, at least. They're very interested in this. They're fed up with the primaries, coal-based alloys, so forth. It is also a very, I would say, Asian thing, but now it's spreading more, being balanced with Europe and I think North America to come around. I think it's a question about months before the administration in the US start to push for local production in North America, because the values are that high and they need more employment in the US, basically. Yeah, ask Donald Trump. He got answers on most things here. Having said that, but speed.
To summarize also what you said, now you have not discussion about where can you save a cent here and there. It's about properties, it's about sustainability. So discussions you like to have because you really can change something and do something. And then the next thing, what you already mentioned, is speed. That if you approach any of these industries with your mindset that you have an automotive, you have 3 years lead time, and then you talk to them, and then you can go back for 4, 6, 8 weeks to work on something, then call back when you have a final offer. That doesn't fly.
No.
They feel ghosted.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you look at telecom moves in these tsunami waves, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and everybody's waiting for 5G to really, really hit it. And reason why it has been very slow, you need to have enough with users, and that is pretty much self-driving cars and AI. They're requiring a lot of broadband. You should know that 5G is actually what we call secure radio, meaning it's a radio signal without any time delay. Then you can do safety critical functions like a self-driving car, truck-mounted lifting a device, something that could be hazardous. You cannot run it in 3G and 4G.
Also something where the processing of the camera information does not happen on the vehicle, it happens somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you need that interconnection between vehicles or between an analyzed data center that picks up the feed and regards where to go.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing you should know if you listen to this, and also to know your not opponent, but your favorite subject of getting a new customer. Both medical and telecom have a price structure of castings that is totally different from cars. So it's a typical casted thing, then it's machined, electroplated, or very often, and then it's powder painting and maybe a little bit of a small assembly, some nuts and bolts, some hinges, a typical environmental gasket or something. That means, there you, casting is what? 20-25% of the total package. So you can either see it as you can scale up your turnover tremendously if you get these orders, or you can also see that you have to sell to actually fill a capacity in a machine. Having said that, before you even go there, you need to check what kind of powder painting facility do I have close? Do I have it in-house? Can I work with it? What kind of examples do I have? Do that homework. What is the most used standard specification for powder painting? It sounds like a boring killer, but put a couple of hours into this.
Also send them some parts, because the combination of your alloy, the used release agent, and the powder coating chemicals have to be in line to work well. And that requires some trials. Yep. Trust me on that.
Yeah. Another industry that I think is extremely overlooked is actually energy distribution and systems. Some people call them general industry. But if you take, actually I'm going to mention a name, ABB for example. They have a lot of interesting parts. They are exactly like telecom and medical, very often powder painted. You find some heat sinks and stuff, but very often it's a container for electronics with some kind of man-machine interface or diode system or lamps or things that go bing, High mix, low volume. But here it comes. Many of these parts has been around for 20 years.
And also when you compare it, the volumes you had 20 years ago are not comparable to what you have now. So they develop also in volume.
Yeah.
And just because the volume is small, with that cool thing about high mix low volume is that you start somewhere. Definitely it's not ideal for you. You have a lot of mixture, but if you're doing that right, you get in overall quite a sizable volume. And then it comes back again to that pricing thing. They are not casting manufacturers. So there is way more engineering on your side that you also can charge for to make their casting better, more efficient for their application. And again, it's you sell engineering, you sell insights, and then you get a part that is perfectly suited for your production facility. And again, you're talking about properties. Not first thing is where can you cut out the sands before we even talk about what we're actually buying.
Yeah, so having given these examples, dear listener, as Fabian is pointing out, I think another thing many of these have in common, they need more service. They have less number of experts in-house. Metallurgy, they probably doesn't know at all. And here you step in. This is where you actually make a difference and become unique. There's one thing having a low price per hour in a casting cell. It's another thing to deliver a cosmetic surface, nice and shiny, and actually have a good control and be able to deliver that. And to be delivering that, as Fabian is saying, you might end up in having a lot of discussions where an engineer is asking you, what kind of powder paint do you think I should have? What kind of typical gasket would you say? How big should the groove be for the gasket? And this is a little bit not like the typical car thinking.
Yeah, it's a different conversation. Yeah. And then also when you're just used to going through your cost breakdowns, where you spend hours discussing, do we put in 0.45 or 0.47 man hours per hour casting in? These are often things that develop with all these constant changes. You need to also adjust that constantly to fit the current standard. So you have to be quicker, but you can also be quicker because you're not tied to your first offer you put in, because with these constant changes, it's expected to develop to something. And then you bring another optimization that helps you and then also gives you cost advantage to your customer, because there is an actual benefit, not a cost advantage because your purchaser pushes.
You could actually find a specification creep that is to your favor in these industries, because you add something that has a value for your customer that allows you to increase the turnover of the business. Having said that, a little bit about price and cost. when we talk about the service of these typical industries, I would take care of one thing: sourcing. Not meaning their sourcing and who to buy to lunch for and invite for gin tonics or something. I'm talking about your sourcing. Because if you're a foundry, you want to step in somewhere where there are other things to be purchased to actually accomplish the delivery to the customer. It is, and if the casting is 25% of your final product, you got 75% that you have to choose in-house or external, right? And here you have to do a little bit of look around. Do you have a powder painter? Do you have a good machine shop you can use? Will he be pissed off if you buy your own Mazak and start to do the machining as soon as the volumes are interesting, etc., etc., etc.? And this kind of a technical based business development thinking is actually what sourcing is in these cases. Because how are you going to address 75%? And if you don't get any profit on 75% of your delivery, you're in a low margin corner again.
Exactly. And then if you have just a standard purchasing department and that buys office paper and once a year negotiates your alloy contract, that's not what is needed for that, because there's a lot of alignment, specifications have to be shared, how to transition constantly these parts. And it's a back and forth with them. And that's something you don't do within a few minutes. That's something that takes a while to establish that relationship along the supply chain.
I absolutely agree with you. And the same thing comes with the quality. I mean, we normally in the car industry, you have a certain quality level, right? It's a lust and heft on the drawing and all these things. And then you have a gazillion of documents. And I've been in the room having a meeting between telecom guys and casting suppliers, where the telecom guys have said, yeah, it's difficult to have that thickness as is specified in the drawing, but here we have a document telling you what kind of defects we allow. And the foundry guys from automotive go like, what allow? Even from the start, I mean, we were far from RFQ nomination in the process, and they were so open about it. So you have to rig your guys a little bit, get them to wrap their heads around it. And I think getting into the next segment of this, because I know we're going to talk about marketing, go to a different trade fair, go to a different conference, understand the pressure points. If you want to go into, I don't know, telecom, general industry, power distribution, computer cooling, whatever, find that sweet spot and go there and understand what are the presentations about. I can bet you'll find something interesting. I can give an example. We work with computer cooling pretty intensively at Comtech. And you know what the key point is? Joining.
Yeah, it has to be leak tight. If you have, for example, if you look at the server now, they are costing more than a car. And you don't want to have water dripping there, killing your whole rack, which is more than a house.
But there's more to it. It's more to it. Because when we think about joining most of the time, we think about welding. And welding, you take you slash an orange into two pieces, and then you can weld it back to a complete orange, right? But it doesn't stick in the middle. And if you're looking at an advanced cooling system, for example, you want to have a labyrinth shape where something is actually flowing, like in that. Oh, sorry, I do like this instead. This labyrinth. Then you need a joining all the way, and then you start to have a problem. So joining sheet metal castings, whatever, is actually one of the key points, because again, water in a computer hall, server hall, bad idea. But you cannot quadruple the energy usage and not take the energy back. So this is an emerging industry, actually.
And as you see with all the AI data centers, none of them is air-cooled anymore. They're all water-cooled, because otherwise you don't get the density and get the heat out.
Yeah.
And again, you have 8 GPUs in the one server and 1.2 kilowatts per GPU. That's 10,000 watts on 17 centimeter high rack space. And then that's 2 meters high. Imagine that heat coming out of it. And that has to be transferred somewhere. And the only way is water.
You can probably barbecue a nice new shot wild hog in a day with that energy, I would say. So, yeah.
These data centers can heat whole cities with warm water.
Yeah, and look at the energy cost in Europe. Let's say that you have followed us on this journey now. You agree and you nod and think like, some more business outside automotive seems to be a great idea. And then you heard, okay, you need to understand what is the pressure point and the pain points in these industries. And we gave a few examples. Call us and we can tell you more. And then you have done this homework. You have gathered a few OEM names. You have a sales tour coming up. You think, you call them and they say, no, not really. We're a little bit occupied here. We're developing new things. You go back to your desk and say, we need more marketing. How do we become unique? How do we actually break through this white noise that's out there? So here comes the next segment, marketing. How do I get them to call me, Fabian?
That's the cool thing, that you want to get there. And let's face it, our industry really struggles with that, as it was never needed. And now, as you said, it's usually then you talk to someone and they're occupied, not the right person, because you don't know how to do real outreach to get something in reward. And marketing is basically talking publicly about these pain points, that because you think you have a sales tour plan and know a few people, companies that are interested in that, you would be surprised how many there are actually, and they are looking for these issues. And so you have to talk about that on, I call it social media, like everyone, think of more like interest media. So build out a followership that's interested in learning about casting for their application. So you need to produce content that showcases what casting can do for certain applications and why you are the one they should talk to. Let's face it, because you just put out a white paper about why you're the best one to deliver heat sinks to telecom companies. Most likely, they're not looking at suppliers at the moment because they're just in the scale up for the current production. Then a year later, they're interested, but then your post is gone. You don't find it anymore. It's so far pushed down with all the new content coming up. So you be constant about it, because there's different cycles and you don't know who is in which cycle. And just because you do something doesn't mean the other ones will contact you. As currently, the Google study is quite a bit old. It said you need 7 contact points and 4 different types of content to get trust that someone reaches out. At the moment, with all that fake spam AI slop, you're more like in the range of 11 contact points and 7 hours spent on that content, and 7 hours is quite a lot.
Yeah. It's way too much.
So you need to find a system to produce constant content, to reach out, to be in the face of them, to build the trust, and then it comes what you said. One thing is the digital world, where you have that constant feed going and people that are interested find you. Then the other thing is that you really have to go to separate different conferences. When you want to talk about cooling solution for computers, then you don't go to the Eurogust. Then you go to the CES in Las Vegas and talk to the people that making the servers about their cooling needs.
And who is the player actually, and what is the layer in between and all that? Yes.
Exactly, because the ones that building the servers and showcasing it, they're usually the ones building the motherboards. They're just buying the thing. So you need to get from them who is the cooler maker for them, and get along the chain, understand it, understand their constraints, where they're producing. What are the requirements? Do you need to insert heat pipes as well? Or is there more spots to direct cool? And
so many questions.
Yeah, many questions, and you have to answer them, and you have to answer them without talking to someone.
Yeah, but you make it sound like a hurdle making marketing. I want to give my 5 cents on it. The reason why I do marketing is that it's the first qualification, because if you send out good enough marketing, you get people to call you. That means that you don't need to do 99 cold calls. And people are a little bit qualified when they actually call you, because they have understood your message, your content. It has been repeated. It has been done in channels. You don't only rely on LinkedIn or being at Eurogust every second year. You work them a little bit, all of them, to reach those, 25 most important guys that you don't know. Because here comes the thing. It was a brilliant thing said about this in a previous episode. Eric Miller, he is working Ljunghäll Gnutte Group, and he said something like, guys, we know the people at Audi and BMW and Daimler. It is the new guys we want to learn to know. And that is everybody's challenge in this. How do you actually reach them? And then you reach you. I mean, that is the brilliance. But again, the rules are content, content, content. Rule number 2, be persistent. You have to publish. It's like when you're fishing for pike, that lure has to go around that pike 5-10 times before he actually bites on it. And number 3, use multiple channels, because people are nomads in the digital landscape and physical landscape. They go to different things. They listen to different people. They look at different things on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or whatever. It's a silly word, multi-channel marketing, but it lies a truth in it. It's better to be a little bit on everyone than just push all the budget into one of them.
Exactly, and I would like to add one point, because if you're here now marketing, please don't reach out to a video graphics studio to produce a new image video for you. That doesn't help you.
No.
And even if it's nice to look at, what do you publish next week? Because now you spend 10, 15, 20,000 on a video. What do you produce next week?
Yep. Not a new video, I can assure you that.
And especially that video, that doesn't bring in any new clients.
No.
That's a cool background for your homepage, but that doesn't help you, because you need to see who is interested in buying from us. And that is oftentimes a totally different audience than that audience that gives you a lot of clicks and a lot of likes.
But I'm going to be a little bit philosophical here. In this day and age of being more and more digitalized, and me being 55, closer to retirement than you are, you youngster, and I know that you can play this like a pianist played his piano, but I think it works like this. Marketing builds up the curiosity. It builds up a brand awareness. You exist. You have something that seems to be interesting. And you work and you scroll and you go to conferences, and then finally you start to feel that, what they're actually talking about could be a solution. Then I lift my phone and talk to a guy I know. That is the thing. And this is the second step of marketing, because when I call my friend, let's call him Johan, he's from Austria. And he says, well, these are pretty good guys, they're living in the wood outside Sweden, blah, 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 blah. But they did something good in Japan. I don't know exactly, but I mean, that must mean something. You say, good to know. And then you call us and say, hello, I have a problem with the properties. I have a problem with something. Can you look at this? So marketing is curiosity, brand awareness. That is the platform that makes someone call a friend. And that is what you want. That friend also is giving a good reply that makes them to call you.
Yeah, you can convert it compared with your own situation, because I think everybody of us has got multiple emails each month from some tool makers you never heard of in Far East. Hey, send us your part, we will quote on that. And let's be real, who of us has responded to that? Because you don't know them, you don't trust them, you don't know if you get a good tool that you can work with. And that's the same thing for you, like reaching out to a company that doesn't know what you do and who you are. It's exactly the same thing. You don't want to be there.
You don't want to be that guy. Hello, my name is Staffan. I'm calling from Comtech in Sweden. You know what? We have a special extra if you are interested in leak-tight components this week. I mean, come on now. It's not worth a rotten lingonberry, right?
No, that doesn't bring you anything.
It doesn't fly.
No, because people are so used to that you automatically turn it down.
And I worry I'm going to become a little bit philosophical, but in this day and age, I think interpersonal relationships will be more and more important.
Oh, yes.
We Europeans, don't understand
That's why the
this.
combination of having a social presence on a digital media and then going to the conference, and when you talk to the people, they will check you up later on if that was interesting, and they see everything you put out, and they say, oh, that's interesting. We haven't talked about it, but that's one of my problems. And now you grow in importance with that list, and they will reach out after the exhibition.
Yeah. But here comes my thing. Maybe you'll cut this out. I don't know. But there's a scale here. If you send something on LinkedIn, it can never be personal. It is you texting something that 10 billion people can look at, or 8 or whoever, however many we are. Other end of the scale, you have your friend from university, you're working with the same thing, you trust them, he's the godfather of your children. Okay, you get a picture, right? And in between, you have something interesting. Let's say, for example, you have found some content, you have some, university program, you developed something that you think is interesting for this, doing cooling in Las Vegas was the example from you. You stand on the stage and you do a presentation 50 minutes. All of a sudden, it's only directed to the audience, I admit. But it's not zero LinkedIn, and it's not the godfather of your children, but it's still more human. And I think it happens something here.
Yeah, it's one contact point among the many, and the combination makes you the right person, not just one thing standing out.
Yeah, but I'm a metallurgist. I'm not a psychologist, but I think something happens inside us that resonates when we see a human being a little bit nervous, reading his Swinglish manuscript. They're real, they're human. It's not an AI-generated freak show. And I think these things are important. So if you look at this scale and you think, okay, we get multi-channel, blah, blah, blah marketing. Yeah, you need to sit down with experts. They are the key target. But to get there, maybe you do some presentations. Maybe you do some webinars. Maybe you call casting companies to get some help to arrange it. I don't know. But you don't go from 0 to 1 all the time. You've tried to find the intermediate versions of people-to-people communication. It's not 100%, but it's effective. So let's face it, I think people need to do things here.
Here's the trick then, because with that social media, you can test all these different angles in a very cost-efficient way. You put out a post about a certain topic, and then you see the reactions. Then you wait a bit, then you try a different angle on a different topic, and then you see where's the most reaction. And then you can contact these people that reacted on that are from the industry that you are targeting. And then you can start a conversation. And then it's not that kind of these Far East tool makers where said, ooh, it's one, yes, you're right, I read your post. And then you can start a conversation based on that, and you're just gathering information. You're not selling them anything. You're just getting info, and it's a conversation among people and not a sales pitch. And that's the way you can start to scale that up.
Yeah, and then again, you're not sitting down with the godfather of your children, but you have a real person-to-person communication, even if it's email. It's much better than just a static digital thing. Though with a good content that makes this, that it gives birth to this thing. And I think this process is so very often overlooked. But then I need to address the elephant in the room. What is good marketing? Is it 200,000 clicks or the 14 most important people in your industry clicks?
That's the cool thing, that you don't need the 200,000 clicks. I wish you have solutions that you can sell 200,000 people castings, but most likely if you get the 14 right people, you get a good business going. And that's the thing, that you see all these millions of clicks and views from these lifestyle influencers. You don't need that volume, you need the right people. And by focusing your content on these specific niches, you automatically exclude most of the ones which you want, because you want to have the resonance of these few hundred peoples.
But then you're selling something that is trust, and you start from zero, right? You want this team at this new customer to put in a tool for, 120,000 euros, engineering hours, 800. They trust you with the new development, a new platform, a new something. You're not selling a lipstick for 199 where people can say, well, I didn't like the color, then you have it in the drawer here, and then you throw it away after a year when you do your spring cleaning, right? I mean, you're selling trust. And one thing that we people actually, I think on another psychological aspect likes when it comes to trust is persistence. You've been around, you're struggling, you're believing in this, and more and more customers are believing in you. And then you start to feel like, yeah, maybe I should trust them. You're not a super newcomer.
No, it's a development process. And when you constantly see these updates, these interesting articles, then you build that trust, because you say, oh, yeah, that's one of our problems. They're talking about it. let's see. Then comes another post where they target a different aspect of your industry. I said, oh, they really understand what we need. And then they read another one and another one until they reach their 7 hours, and then pick up the call and say, hey, let's jump on a call because I have something I want to show you. Please help me with that. There is no negotiation on when can we talk about things. Is it the right thing? No, they want to get right in the middle. And then on the second call, or after that, you can discuss the offer.
Yeah. Can I bring another thing around the marketing?
Please do.
You have done the homework. Okay, I repeat myself again. You want to step out of automotive, for example. You have found non-automotive industry sector X. You have done the homework, you know the pressure points and the development criteria. You have arranged yourself and identified your strength where you actually fit into this puzzle. You start to do a lot of marketing. One of these 14 people that you're targeting that you don't know about is intrigued. Start to speak and advocate for you, internal. What does that mean? Well, here comes the thing. Someone is sticking out the neck because they think you have a solution to probably a technical problem. That's great. But here comes this first wave of sales and you have heard nothing. There's a conference room somewhere in a project meeting. You have purchasing, quality, some kind of a manager pops in because this is very important for his yearly bonus or something. You see what I'm saying? Multifunctional people are sitting there before they actually contact you, right? This could happen on an airplane on the way for a trade conference, could be organized as in Europe typically or Germany, in a conference room to decide who's going to call and what to say and do we have an NDA and blah, blah, blah. But it happens. And what does it mean? It means that if this is an important decision, people will take the cell phones, put in your name. They will check Google, they will check YouTube, they will check LinkedIn, they will check Facebook maybe. You see my point? So here comes the practical thing. And here comes psychology lesson number 5 or something. People appreciate information in different ways. Some people want to talk with another person. Some people want to hear the voice. Some people want to see a video explaining this phenomenon that you have conquered so nicely with a new spray lubricant that allows you to do what, X, Y, Z or something. And this is very important because in a room, not everybody works and get going on the same method of information carriage, right? So the information carrier should be a little bit diversified. So here comes another argument why you should actually work this multi-channel marketing. I hate that word. It sounds so Stockholm downtown, Stureplan, hey. But it works because some guys, the technical guys, they will go to YouTube directly, type in the thing, you know, and how do you solve the energy problem around the 8 CPUs, this 2-meter tower, blah, blah, blah. Can we copy that to our product? Well, here's a guy actually saying something about it. He's a foundry. He seems to have this, yeah, we were talking about it. Okay, and there you get going. So
and don't underestimate YouTube.
Yeah?
YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world.
I know.
But most people don't know that. And it's so cool because people don't go there for anything else but to get information. And if you're not present on there with content designed for that platform, you're losing out.
Yeah. And don't do the mistake then to say, video, it has to be great. Listen to Fabian, Niklas. Have content, make more videos, shine light on the problem from different angles. Could be from the alloy, could be from the production, could be from the sourcing, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you got some 4, 5, 6 videos that are actually telling why you're so incredibly great and trustworthy. I'll tell you a story. Do you know how many times people click on a Comtech video on YouTube in average?
I know that it's above 18,000 clicks per video.
Yeah. And I think I calculated that we generate 22 hours of education every day. Every day.
Yep. And also what you're doing is with these videos, as they are one of the top ranked videos when you Google Reocasting, they are on the top of the Google search bar connected with that video. Before anyone comes that pays a lot of money to be listed on top spot, you're already there.
How big do you think our budget is?
0. That's basically get some microphones and a cell phone and then you're ready to go.
Yeah. We actually bought some cheap stuff for 120 euros back then when the cell phones didn't have a good camera. And then we started. We do it in Swinglish. We had a manuscript on a whiteboard that we rolled out in our foundry. it works, ladies and gentlemen, because people are interested in the content, not the looks. If they want to look at something brilliant or beautiful, they go to Netflix and watch a Jennifer Aniston movie. I have a crush for Jennifer Aniston. But anyway, they don't go to YouTube and type reocasting heat sinks if they want to see
Also,
skin or
that's
beautiful.
That's part of the authenticity. If you're standing on the shop floor showing the differences between the parts and what you can do, that's authentic. And in a video, you want to have authentic people. Nobody cares for an AI video. You want to see the people talk.
Or that super produced profile video that the PR firm bought for 100,000 euros that you have to use for 5 years now, and all the bosses that appears in it will be exchanged before you can make a new one, and the budget allows you. Make it simple. Make it content. Make it YouTube.
Make it a content system that allows you to have a video out every week, every 2 weeks. Find that system that works.
Every month.
Yeah, I think you have to be at least a 2-week cycle, because it will take you around 30 videos to get to a good quality and you know how to act naturally on a video. Because if it's too stiff and you're just reading of it, it tears people apart and say, oh, it's an interesting topic, but I cannot listen because it's like listening to a speech of the chancellor. It's really painful. And it takes you some work to do. For example, for that podcast, we said in May, let's do that. And during the summer, we recorded 6 episodes and we deleted 6 episodes because we couldn't listen to them ourselves. Then we continued, and with the 7th one, we said, okay, we might be able to publish that. And we started, and now we're at episode 58, is that now? I think we act quite natural. For us, it became a norm, and also the quality of the production improved without changing anything, and it gets more efficient that we can keep that schedule with every 2 weeks a new episode.
The kids are using a term called cringe, and I think that kind of labels it. It cannot be cringe. It cannot be painful to watch it. But I would like to say like this: the better the content, the less the quality you need. If you have a super content that you explain something that for these 14 people or whoever actually is looking at this, they don't care if you speak Swinglish or with a German accent. They don't care if your shirt is a little bit wrinkled. Yeah, okay, he's a real engineer, they think. You see my point?
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you have bought a smartphone in the last, let's say, 3 years, you can record perfectly good 4K videos. Then spend another 50 to 100 euros on a proper microphone, because audio quality, that's crucial. And you're off to go. If you don't need a lighting setting, then just record during the day when it's a good day.
And then you live in Sweden and it gets dark 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Or get some lamps from some offices and shine a light on you. You don't need to have a big production budget. It's a cell phone, maybe get a tripod, that it's not a shaky video. Everything can be done for $200.
Why do I get a feeling I heard this before, but with an angry tone? So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of talking here. We kind of love doing this, and but we see the importance, and we have done the homework. We got the scars to prove it. So don't hesitate. Reach out if you want to hear more about it, or if you have some ideas you want us to elaborate more about. And let's take it from there. And again, as always,
reach out, especially with these things. These are mostly new things. And with new things, you can figure them out for yourselves. That will take a while. But if you're probably on a time pressure because you need new products as your production line is running out, get help from someone that knows the industry, knows how to market it. And that's the commercial break for myself.
Yeah.
Reach out to me. And let's get started with that, because it is a challenge and it's something new. And it also triggers that you have to change your decision tree within your company. There's a lot of things attached to that, and get started, because non-automotive business doesn't fall from the skies just because you start looking now.
You take it from that tone. I would say like this: it's very fun. It's very fun to learn how to do marketing, see the results, and work with this. I mean, it's not the day-to-day business that you're used to in a foundry environment, looking at the portal. All of a sudden, you kind of try to take control of your own destiny.
No, it's definitely fun if you have the time to test it out. But if you have the pressure of a production line that's running empty, then it's a different thing. So like for us, we can do the podcast because we love to do it and we have fun in doing that.
Have fun with us. Call us. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I hope you listen to this because I think this is actually the second most important episode we ever recorded. I say it again, I know that I'm a stubborn old man, but you should listen to the Do You Have the Right Captains? It has the worst statistics of all our 58 episodes, but it's still the best one, according to me. I don't know why people don't appreciate it, but believe me, they kind of cling together here. And don't forget to subscribe. And again, January, if you're in Europe, if you're at Eurogas, drop by. We will be there, both of us, and we would love to shake your hand and get some criticism or positive feedback about the podcast. I mean, come on. We're not that sensitive. No. So see you around.
See you, especially then in the next episode and hopefully in January at the Eurogas. Bye.
Wiedersehen. Bye.